Today on the podcast, we're talking indie film, world premieres, and In This Gray Place. This is the Kansas City Podcast. Welcome to the Kansas City Podcast. I'm your host, Cole Lindberg. Many of you know me as Mark Zuckerberg's speaking coach. And if not, it's nice to meet you. You know, each week here on the Kansas City Podcast, we are joined by a one-of-a-kind KC native for a conversation on life in the city of fountains. But today, folks, it's a little bit different today. I'm actually... I have two gentlemen here with me. They are here in Kansas City. They have traveled from far away to come to our fair town to world premiere their brand new film entitled In This Gray Place. I'm doing good so far, right?
Oh, yeah.
What genre would you say this is? It's a...
Drama, romance.
A drama, romance movie called In This Gray Place. I have with me today, he's the director of In This Gray Place, Rudi Womack. Rudi, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me on here, Cole.
I thank you for being here. And of course, I have to my left, not that matters to those of you listening, he is the... What would you say? You were the lead actor.
I would say the star. The bright, shining star.
The bright, shining star. Alex Ristic, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
And gentlemen, In This Great Place is premiering at the Kansas City Film Festival, which is going on right now. It's premiering tomorrow night, Friday, at 7:45 at the Cinemark in the Plaza. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. It's the world premiere of your movie, and it's happening here in Kansas City. How do you feel about this?
Oh, we're extremely excited. Kansas City really attracted us from the get-go because of how they treat their filmmakers. They really roll out the red carpet for us, both literally and figuratively.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll be walking a red carpet on Friday, is what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Of course.
Oh, yes.
I might be running down the red carpet.
I'll be slowly, leisurely strolling.
Okay. Lots of photographers showing up. All that.
News, photographers. It's the real deal, and that's one of the reasons that we really were attracted to the Kansas City Film Festival in the first place is because they really go out of their way for filmmakers, especially filmmakers on our level who are very independent. Sometimes you hear about indie films that quote unquote only have a couple of $1 million, and we're like, wow, I wish
I could have a couple of $1 million.
Yeah, I wish I only had a couple of $1 million. So it's great that we're part of a festival that really fosters filmmakers like us.
That's fantastic. And so now I know earlier today you went and had some Jack Stack barbecue.
Oh, yes, we did.
And you're going to be basically on the plaza for, you might go around and do some more things. Have you ever been to Kansas City before?
We have not.
No. So this is the first time. And I've been told you're from Canada?
Indeed, I am.
Where are you from in Canada?
That's actually an expansive question. I was raised
You were all over Canada?
I was all over Canada in that I was in the two cities that people know of that exist in Canada. I was raised in Toronto, but home base now is Calgary.
Okay, fantastic. And so where was In This Great Place filmed?
So that's a very interesting question.
Oh, it's all over Canada?
No. So we shot it in Los Angeles, but it's quite interesting because we didn't really have a lot of the resources that it takes to shoot in Los Angeles because LA gets really expensive with permits and taxes and stuff like that. So we actually built the set in my garage. So yeah, we shot it in LA, but you can't even tell because it takes place more or less in the garage. So
that's amazing. I mean, that's do it yourself right there. That's indie film, man.
Oh, it's indie film.
It's indie film, but we shot in the ocean, in the desert, up in the mountains. I mean, we cover 4 seasons in that movie, and it's incredible.
Covering 4 seasons in Southern California is pretty difficult, especially winter with like actual snow. We had to drive a little bit for that.
You had to go somewhere.
We had to go somewhere. Yeah. But most of it takes place in that one area, but you wouldn't think to actually watch the film that it's this was in a garage and kind of the one location thing because of the time and just kind of energy we took to making it seem like it could be anywhere.
Very nice. So I guess we need to talk about the film then. So give me I have like the little line. Do you want me to read the line and then you can elaborate on it?
Yeah,
it says,
please
okay,
do. Epically.
I'm going to read it as epically as I can. In this great place. After a robbery gone wrong, Aaron barricades himself in a rest stop bathroom. Surrounded by police and battling hallucinations, he must stall long enough to devise a plan and hide the jewels. Whoa.
Yeah.
And I assume, Alex, you are Aaron.
I am Aaron.
You are the star of the show.
I am.
And so you said it's kind of a romance. I mean, it sounds very intriguing, very exciting. Anything else you want to add on top of that line there?
Well, quite a lot. As you kind of pointed out, there's
I
a
read
lot of
it
these...
as epically as I could. I'm sorry.
Marvelous.
Which you did beautiful.
Yes, I mean, I could have done like, in this great place.
In this great place.
After a robbery gone wrong.
No, I think you went into Batman in that one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Where's the trigger?
So
In this great place.
as it kind of hits on, there's kind of this hook with all these hallucinations that he's experiencing while he's in this standoff. So you have this like really intense police standoff. He's on the phone with his girlfriend. He's on the phone with like his accomplice that's part of the robbery and everything. So they're really strategizing quite a bit over the phone. But through these sequence of like flashbacks and kind of these artsy hallucinations, we really reveal how he got into this situation in the first place.
For sure, and why he's doing it.
Yeah, and why, because the why is always the most important thing with any movie. Why do I care?
Right. Yeah.
If you can't check off that box, then you've lost your audience entirely. So we kind of use this non-linear storytelling technique. We kind of keep flashing back and forth between things, and that's how we reveal the situation that he's been in. And with that, we see his girlfriend, who's a very, very important character in the film, and we really start relating to him as
she's very much a moral compass, a sort of a reason why he hasn't been caught already, and kind of the push to keep him from just giving up, because you can imagine having a standoff with police is more or less a hopeless situation, but Aaron somehow finds a way. It's beautiful.
With most independent film, I know there's usually a long process to get something like this to fruition. When did you guys start on this?
We started in late 2016 is when it is. So it's April 2018 now. So it took quite a long time to get it off the ground and get it moving.
Wait, but is that when you start production? You're not even talking, like, did you write it beforehand, or who?
I started writing in the summer of 2016. So production started in... What would it be? October, I think, is what it was.
Something like that. I mean, from the beginning to the end, like pre-production to like editing and everything, which can take a long period of time, including any special effects or anything that you do have. It does take a exceedingly long amount of time. So, I don't know, somewhere towards... I don't even know.
Basically, a long time. Sorry,
A long time.
And the other aspect of that is with independent films, you can't always... bite off everything all at once, so to speak, because of the resources and whatnot. So there were periods of downtime where we were just trying to plan more complicated scenes, and just because there's only a handful of us and we don't really have a ton of money or resources to work with, and like Alex was juggling a full-time job while shooting this, so availability is also an issue. Sometimes it just takes weeks and weeks and weeks to get everything lined up for one day of shooting. For sure.
So, and there's that old adage where there's the film you write, the film you shoot, and the film you edit, and those are three different things. So that downtime ended up being, while frustrating at certain points, I think ultimately awesome for the film, because we got to revisit the story. We got to actually see it on screen and say, okay, is this what we wanted to accomplish? Is this? And so there are several times where we could have said, okay, does this work? Does this not? And we're able to kind of adjust accordingly. Whereas if this was, we joked about it earlier, if we did have millions of dollars studio backing and everything, we wouldn't have that luxury. We have a deadline
Yeah.
where certain things need to be done.
You gotta have this by May
accountability.
15th.
May 15th period.
Yeah.
The release of the film is already
Set.
set this time, and if you don't have it, they're going to be pushing back days, and it's going to cost them money, and there's just so much more accountability to other people that are investing into it. Whereas this, I think, was very much a passion project, something that we didn't sit around and wait for somebody to say, okay, now you can do this. We came together and said, you know what, we're not going to sit around and wait for permission to make our movie. We're just going to do it. Yeah.
Very nice. I've had a few local filmmakers here on the show. Patrick Ray, who actually has a film that's premiering at the Kansas City Film Festival this week.
Awesome.
Also, Patrick Poe and Lolo Loren, who've been on the show. They have a film that's going up this week at the Kansas City Film Festival. Both guests of the show. And
congratulations to you guys if you're
absolutely.
listening.
I always ask this question because I think it's one of the funniest things in the entire world. Because when I had Patrick on the show, he was talking about how, when his movies start to play at like one of these local places, he has to leave the room. He can't sit in there. He can't watch it. He's like, I'll go out and play some arcade games. It's just, there's too much pressure. So are you feeling the pressure at all? Have you checked the projectioner? Is the projectionist, is it working? Is it going to, like halfway through the movie, is the computer going to die? Is it on a zip drive? What is going on? Like, are you ready?
So I've double, triple, and quadruple checked absolutely every tiny little thing. I've gone through the whole thing frame by frame, and when it starts, I will make a very discreet exit out the side door, and I won't come back until it is done. I cannot watch one of my own movies. I cannot do it.
Really?
Oh, it is so difficult because it is the culmination of
A lot of hard work.
just years, literally years of work. And you're putting it together. And in some ways, not every filmmaker is like this, but particularly the way that I write, the characters that I have, so on and so forth. In some ways, it's almost opening up your diary for the entire world to read.
Right.
And I just, man, I can't be around. I can't read reviews about it. I can't.
So once it premieres and it's out to the world, you're just going to go into hiding.
A little bit, yeah.
Basically.
I still want to like promote it. I still want to
Basically.
talk about it and everything. I want to push it out there because I want to see it successful because it's not just my project. And that's the beauty of filmmaking. That's one of the things I love about it. A fine artist who's painting, it's just their painting. But in this medium, you have so many other people involved with the project, so you have an obligation to make sure that project is as successful as it can be. That being said, at a certain point in time, listen, the baby can walk, it can talk, it's on its own, it's
It's out of college.
it's out of college,
and
it's doing its own thing, and I got to move on to the next thing, and that's what it is. It's always moving on to the next.
Is that the same for you, Alex?
No. I used to be.
You like watching yourself on screen.
I
That's what
do.
you're saying.
Here's what I used to not like watching myself on screen, and when I talk to other actors about it, they always evoke Johnny Depp because Johnny Depp famously never watches himself. But I go, I start to ask myself, why on earth wouldn't I do that? Like is this just some actory thing that I heard some big famous actor do, and if I emulate them, maybe I'll have the same sort of success? I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah.
But what I used to not be able to see myself on camera. Then I forced myself to do so. It accomplished two things. One, it made me comfortable with seeing myself on camera and hearing my own voice, which is surprisingly difficult. And as an actor, I feel quite necessary. But then it also helped me in my craft. It's always a work in progress. Acting is a muscle. It is not a skill. It can atrophy if you don't work in. And I do believe in terms of the craft itself that one of the most important things you can do is watch yourself, is to be able to see, okay, did I accomplish what I set out to do? And sometimes yes, sometimes no. But if you didn't see, you wouldn't know. And rather than just being out in the ether and saying, gosh, I really hope I did a good job, why don't I go take a look and see if I'm satisfied with my own artwork? So yeah, I have to watch myself. There are moments, of course, always where I look at stuff now because I've grown as an artist, where I go, oh, if I could only redo it one more time, I would have done it like this, or I would have done it like that.
Right.
And, I always think that's a good sign. I'm moving in the right direction. but it still is a kick to see yourself on the big screen. Let me tell you, it's a trip, because it's like, oh, Mom, Dad, I made it.
Right. So let's even zoom out farther then. So you're Canadian,
yes,
and you go to film here in Los Angeles and stuff. Tell me a little bit about your story and how you wanted to become an actor, because I'm always intrigued by how. When I was in college, right, I was a film major there for like a year and a half.
Okay, we're really talking about
that's
that.
awesome.
And then I was like, you know what? I don't want to move to Los Angeles. I could stay here in Kansas City and make silly videos and do things that I want to do and things like that. But at the same time, I was kind of like, I want to give it a try. And that's always the thing. You always hear about people moving out from somewhere else to LA or to go somewhere. So when did you realize I want to be an actor, or like I'm going to make this happen? I'm going to go for it.
My story is particularly interesting. So I was raised in Canada, but I was not born there.
Oh, okay.
I was actually born in former Yugoslavia.
Okay.
I'm a Slovenian citizen, but I moved when I was like 4 or 5, so it doesn't really count. And I moved to Toronto. As far back as I can remember, I have always loved movies. I don't know what it is. I just, like, if you go through my old family album, and please don't, you'll see me as a baby
right now.
with like just religiously watching the television. And my mom used to always joke around about that and everything. And when I came to Canada, I didn't know any English. And how did I learn? I watched movies. And they were always kind of, not to get all hippy-dippy on you, but they were always kind of there. They were always kind of there for me. And in high school, I wasn't necessarily popular, believe it or not. And
I don't believe it.
yeah, I know, right?
Nerd.
So every weekend, I would watch movies. And before, it would be movies that I know, movies that I like. And then I started to watch everything. I mean, nothing was really forbidden in my house, and I think it might have been because English wasn't my parents' first language. But I would watch people would say, "Oh, I love Beauty and the Beast. That's my childhood film." I'm like, Goodfellas is my childhood film. I was watching Godfather Part 2. I made my wife watch Godfather Part 2, and that scene where Michael gets patted down as he's getting questioned by the Senate. Are you with mafia and everything? And I remember just whispering to myself, going, "This takes me back to when I was a kid." She goes, "What's wrong with you?" But to answer your question, so I always loved. I always loved film. I've always loved television. I've always loved storytelling. And it wasn't until I had an amazing French teacher who wanted to teach us French, because we have to learn it there, wanted to teach us French with skits. So she would give us little scripts that we would do.
Okay.
So we'd be learning the language, but what was more fun to me was creating these characters. And I was always kind of, as a defense mechanism, I guess, the funniest guy in the room. I always needed to have the joke there. And then I started reading Shakespeare in high school and everything. And it just kind of snowballed from there. By the time I had to pick a profession, my father, of all people, who's an electrical engineer, who's 2 + 2 = 4 type guy, who's so not artistic, or at least not in the conventional sense, he said, "Well, why don't you try theater? Audition for one school, and if it doesn't get in, then And I go, "Oh my gosh, are you okay? Are you feeling right?" And I put my hand on his forehead. And so,
are you giving me permission?
Right? And so I auditioned for this thing, not thinking anything of it. I'm like, maybe I'll be a journalist. Maybe I'll do something else. And I got in. And I remember getting into this very prestigious conservatory school and thinking to myself, do I belong here? And then I stepped into my first acting class and met people who thought like me, who loved movies as much as I did, or rather loved theater as much as I did. And my life changed. At that point, I moved to Calgary for my second year, and I finished my theater degree. But something was missing. Yes, the acting was there, but something was missing, and it was the film aspect of it. I loved the acting. I loved all of the plays and the rich material you get to work with. But I needed to leave. Calgary is not a place where you can do a lot of film, and I know they have a film industry now, but I moved down to Los Angeles, and first thing I said was, "I'm home." And I shortly after met Rudi and a bunch of other filmmakers, and that's who I hung out with the most, because they were able to geek out with me, and I go, "Oh my goodness, there are more of them out there."
Right.
It's not just me. And
right there, that's a lesson for any filmmakers.
Yeah.
find your team.
Find your
right
team.
off the
Oh,
bat.
my
Find
goodness.
your team.
Find your team.
Because
Yeah.
scroll the credits of a movie. It's not one dude. It's not a couple. It is a team of people who do it. So find your team.
So when I moved to Los Angeles, it was very, it was a shell shock. Of course, you know, you have to change up your entire acting game when you're in front of a film camera or even a television camera. You have to know your medium. But I remember thinking to myself after every single shoot day I've ever had, no matter what happened, whether I was buried alive or drowning in the ocean or freezing from hypothermia.
What are all those looks for?
Certain movies that I did with a certain brilliant filmmaker. It didn't matter what happened that day. I went home and I felt accomplished. And I remember I'm like, I'm going to chase this feeling for the rest of my life. And this is what I'm going to do come hell or high water. And so I am.
Right, that's very exciting. And so now, Rudy, I'm going to ask you, when did you know you want to be a director? I love these answers. These are great because I love hearing about it, you know?
It really is. And you get to learn. It's why film works as an art form and as an entertainment platform, because it's universal. It talks to everybody. It's like music.
Yeah.
I mean, it incorporates music, so maybe that's why.
What is it? Roger Ebert said that empathy is like the greatest goal of civilization, and like movies are empathy machines.
Yeah.
Like that's what they are.
Seriously,
that's good.
He mentioned that he went down to L.A. and he met a lot of filmmakers. Well, I was in that batch, and a lot of them were international students. Oscar from Kazakhstan, our friend Gallo from Ecuador.
Right.
It didn't matter where you were from, you know, be it Asia or Africa, or the cinematographer of this film, Naeem Sarafi, he's from Iran.
Right.
Film really is a universal medium.
For sure.
And it is really interesting to find out what got people into it.
Yeah.
For me, I can identify it to a very specific point as well. I grew up in Wyoming, and
I'm sorry.
yeah, it is a very desolate place. Like sometimes I'll hear people, like I have a friend from Kansas, and she's like, "Man, Kansas, there's nothing there," and I'm like, "I'm from Wyoming." Kansas is like the light at the end of the tunnel for some of it. Like you don't
Kansas
understand.
is Vegas to us.
Seriously. So I'm from Wyoming, and there's not a lot going on in Wyoming ever. But I was
Damn, I want to visit.
Yeah, no, right?
Yeah, I'm really selling it right now.
How much your plane ticket?
It is beautiful. It is. I mean, if you're into outdoors and everything, it is probably one of the greatest places on earth. But I was a little kid. Man, I was really young. I was 6, 7 years old, something like that. And it flooded the newspaper because newspapers were still a thing then. And it was Hollywood is coming to Wyoming and they're going to shoot scenes for this big movie. And like everybody got excited because there's nothing ever happening. And my mom actually took me out into the middle of the prairie because it was still really far outside of town to go see them shoot scenes for this big Hollywood action movie. And that big Hollywood action movie is Starship Troopers.
Oh, wow.
I saw them shooting scenes for Starship Troopers.
Oh, my goodness.
And from that day on, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be in the movies.
Wow.
And that's it.
I was not expecting you to say Starship Troopers of all movies. That's
I know the story. He's told me the story before, and I still did not expect Starship Troopers to come.
Wow. And when you really put it in context, you know, the producers of that film needed a location that was a desolate, alien, lifeless world
that no one had ever seen before.
No one had
So
ever
they're like,
seen.
"Snap,
void of
Wyoming."
any humanity whatsoever. So they land on Wyoming.
We should go overseas. No. You guys ever been to Wyoming?
Well, yes. We shot our first film in Wyoming.
It's amazing how like one little moment, one little movie, or that
Yeah.
that right performance at that right time will just make you go, yeah, that I want to do that
Yeah,
forever.
yeah. So what is, you've got the premiere on Friday.
Yeah.
What happens then? Like, what happens? Like, you show it, there's a giant applause, everyone freaks out. Rudy, you're hiding in the corner. Yeah. I mean, you know.
Alex is dragging me by the ankles out of the corner.
Do you have more showings coming up? That's the thing. That's because it's like you're putting it out to the world now, and you don't want it to just stall off and die. You know, you want it to you want people to see it and get more out there. So what are you going to do next? What's the thing that happens?
So as a filmmaker, and this is always the part of filmmaking that people don't talk about a lot, but this is a huge portion of the job. You know, a lot of people say they want to be a director because they see the behind the scenes of a movie and they want to sit on set and tell where the camera is and call action and talk with actors. That's 1% of the job, maybe 0.5%. It really is nothing of what the actual job is. The actual job of directing is pitching.
Yeah.
You have a script, you pitch it. You have a movie that you want to do, you're pitching to get financing. You have the financing, you're pitching to actors to get them involved.
Robert Downey Jr. calls it selling soap.
It is.
Selling soap. Yeah.
When it's done, then you're pitching to distributors, which is what the next big process is. So the wonderful thing about a festival like Kansas City is it brings a lot of legitimacy to the film. And it is a very nice festival here in town. And that brings a kind of clout, a kind of expectation of what the quality of the film should be. Sure. And we can take that, we can go to another couple of film festivals. We are in a couple of other film festivals, so we're going to go there and we're going to promote those and we're going to talk about those as well. And after we have a number of these in our back pocket, we get some reviews on the film, hopefully positive. If not positive, please stay off the internet. But you get good word of mouth going, because in indie film like ours, we don't have the finances to, you know, do a $10 million ad buy and have trailers all over online and everything. Sure. So ours definitely is more of a grassroots word of mouth sort of a thing. So that's where film festivals like Kansas City are so vital to a film like this and its success. Because after we've had 3 or 4 of those, we can then approach a distribution company, and we say, hey, the film stars these people, and we have a very great cast attached. We've gotten great reviews. We've been to these festivals.
We've won these awards.
Yeah, we've won or nominated or whatever for these awards. And then they kind of compile all of that, figure about how much money they think they would be able to make, offer us 5% of that. And then it's just a negotiating deal to move those numbers. And then the film goes out there. And then that's really when the general public really starts to see it, because it becomes available on a wide variety of platforms, which feels like it's changing every 6 months. All the platforms there are.
Everything.
Yes, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
I feel like every couple weeks I have to sign up for some new service.
Yeah,
like,
it's so true.
Have you seen this?
We
But
cut
what
our
is it?
cable to do subscription, and now we have to individually subscribe to each of our favorite shows. So we've gone back full circle.
Yeah. It's just like, hey, we're going to put everything online, and you're going to have everything online. But guess what? Some of those things you want, they're not there anymore. So now you got to buy them separate.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you know what? Why don't you package them all together? Wait a minute. That's called cable.
Let's do cable, except it's on the internet now.
Yeah. It's internet cable. Wow. That's insane. Is this your first feature?
This is our second feature.
Okay.
He and I actually did another feature, and we did get distribution with that one. It's with Gravitas Ventures, and that one is called Call of the Wolf.
Available now on Amazon and
Video on Demand
iTunes
and everything else. Do we get paid for plugs like that?
I think so.
Great.
You stream
God,
it
I
now?
hope so.
You stream it now?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You can go right now and start streaming it. It's great. And that one we actually did not do the festival circuit with. We landed distribution like right away with it, because it was a genre film. It was more thriller, a flavor of horror.
For sure.
They kind of amped it up a little bit in the marketing, but it's more of a flavor of horror than like an actual like pure horror film. And because it was a genre film, it got picked up like right away. It was very, very easy to sell. And that is a consideration that distributors will have as well, if what the genre is and what the market is. And it's always ebbing and flowing. You know, romances might be in one year and then they're not.
Yeah. Horror movies one year. It's always changing.
After La La Land came out, there was a flood of musicals. Like nobody touched musicals as in like in the indie market for decades. And then La La Land comes out and suddenly it's just like a massive tidal wave of musicals.
Let me just say for the record that La La Land was inaccurate. Nobody is dancing on the 405 freeway, okay? Everybody is really
They're
upset.
not?
They're honking their horns. I guess that's music, but
See, that's
nobody's
just the
dancing.
that's just the thing that I just can't deal with because I
know.
want that here in my hometown. But you're telling me it's not even happening in LA.
You're just trying to get home from work and somebody decides to bust out a choreographed dance with a whole bunch of people.
Hong Kong, get out of the way.
I was actually thinking what would be a really funny movie is this guy who lives in a musical world like that, but he's so not a part of it. So like all the rest of the citizens are like dancing on the street and he's just trying to get to work. It's like, excuse me, I need to get past you.
I mean, it's a little bit of how LA is. Like you move to LA because you're like, man, I want to be in the movies, and then like after a couple of weeks, it's like, oh, they shut down these streets for this
come
movie. Oh
on.
man, the trapfic's killer.
Now I gotta go all the way around here, and you know that road is just terrible. It's got construction on it, and yeah.
It sounds like so it is pretty much like that Saturday Night Live sketch, The Californians, where they're like, I gotta take the 405.
Yeah.
But then I went down on La Brea. And
I saw this T-shirt I'll never forget, and only LA people will get this joke, but it was like this beautiful like heart, and on the inside it said, I would take the 101 to the 405 to the 10 for you. And I remember like seeing that when I first came to LA, and I'm like, I don't know what. Okay, all right, take a bunch of highways. Okay, and now that I've been there for a couple of years, I would go, that is the most considerate thing. Like driving all that way to see them, they must really love them.
And you're like,
So kind.
but there's nobody that important.
No, it's not gonna happen.
No,
It's
not gonna happen.
So you're in LA, you're making this movie in your garage.
Yeah.
Okay. And, you're bringing people in to help, shoot it and make it look great and everything like that. I imagine that you probably have a job outside of this, right?
Oh yeah.
Can I ask what you do?
Oh yeah. I cut movie trailers. That's what
Whoa,
I do.
okay.
I cut movie trailers for a living. That's what I do.
Hold on. Wait. Okay, continue, and then I have a million questions.
Oh, about movie trailers?
I
Well,
just
have
want
you
to
heard
know.
all
Guardians,
afternoon.
have you heard of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 or Thor Ragnarok?
Yes.
His trailers.
Really? That's
Yeah,
incredible.
We worked on the campaigns with them.
Why is every movie trailer dun, 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 fade out, fade in? Like, why is that? Like, why is that the movie trailer thing now? Is that just like, it's the Christopher Nolan Inception
Zimmer,
movie
blah.
trailer? Yes, over and over again. Explain it to me.
It's the same reason most pop music is a 4/4 beat. 1, 2,
And three
3,
chords.
4.
Yeah.
1, 2. Because
So you just have a template. You just throw them all in there and you go to town.
in a sense, there's plenty of trailers that don't do that. And I mean, I'm a trailer editor. I watch a lot of trailers, and obviously I gravitate towards the trailers that are doing different things. Mm-hmm. And I actually prefer shorter trailers. Like, to me, an ideal trailer is 60 seconds.
Yeah.
But they're getting longer and longer and longer.
Yeah, they're giving away the whole movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's getting bad.
When you look at like the 3-minute long new like Solo trailer, and I'm just like,
Oh my gosh,
goodness.
I know the movie.
Yeah,
I
it's
got
like,
the movie.
oh, okay. There's a heist. Han Solo's not sure what to do. He wins the Millennium Falcon from Lando. Chewie leaves his wife behind. Like, everything is there in the trailer.
How much do you want to bet he hooks up with Emilia Clarke?
Well,
with brunette with brunette
The mother of
Daenerys Targaryen.
dragons.
Yeah, the mother of dragons. Exactly.
it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
But trailers, like everything else, I mean, there's fads. Like, everybody talked about like the trailer voice guy, but honestly, when was the last time, outside of a TV like 30-second spot, when was the last time you actually heard a trailer voice guy? Seriously, not in a comedy trailer.
Yeah,
Long time ago, because they haven't used it for a while. Another big fad was doing a cover of a song, doing like a dark, gritty, slow cover
The
of
new
some famous
Westworld
song.
trailer had the instrumental version of like Heart Shaped Box by Nirvana. Yeah.
But Westworld, I feel like is a little bit different because Westworld uses music. I saw this thing on YouTube. Yeah, Westworld uses music to tell stories, to
Right.
tell subtext of stories. in a way that you wouldn't even notice unless you were paying attention. So like that self-playing piano plays like a Radiohead song about like loneliness and everything as it follows the character.
It's like the Social Network trailer where they had the kids choir that sang Creep. Yeah.
Oh, that was magical.
Yeah, that was good.
But the thing is right there, that was magical. It connects with people. They can identify it. They can pick it up, and they are immediately hooked. It's actually less work on the marketing team. And there is a difference between the trailer editors and the marketing, because at the end of the day, the trailer editor is no different than an actor in a movie. I mean, we're given a script. We are given direction. We are given a tone. We are being given the material.
You're not given the whole movie. You're given just a couple clips and stuff to put together,
every project is different. So
you already know some of the movies?
Oh, yeah. A lot of TV shows, a lot of movies. I'll see them, or I'll see rough cuts of them. And so sometimes they'll remove scenes or shots or whatever. But it is something.
Does that upset you?
No. I mean, occasionally I'll see a scene in a film that didn't actually make it to the film, and I'll be like, "Oh God, it was brilliant! Oh, why did they cut it? Why?" So occasionally, but as an editor, I mean, trailer editor and film editor, 90% of the time, even if a scene is really good, I do understand the necessity of cutting it and getting to the point a little bit quicker.
Gotcha.
And so a lot of the times it is fat. Fat is great. You want to cook with fat, but you also want to remove it. You know, it is finding that balance. And obviously, you get 10 people in a room, you'll have 20 opinions.
Yeah.
So
very nice.
It's really striking that balance.
I feel like I was a huge trailer buff. I just loved watching movie trailers. Like, you know, they used to be like for free on like iTunes and stuff. You could download them and everything. It's like, did you see this new trailer? Oh my God.
Man, I'll never forget that Casino Royale trailer where he flicks the Aston Martin over and over. I go, well, I'm going to go see that movie.
Yeah.
My favorite trailer is the teaser for American Sniper. Where he's like sitting on the roof, and it just like
the kid comes out.
It's just doing like little flashbacks, like throughout the rest of the movie, like, and you see a little bit of his life, and it's just kind of building and building, just like
outstanding. Actually,
and that is one that doesn't use that whole Inception, right, sort of a thing.
Actually, one of my favorites, actually, the Infinity War teaser trailer.
That's good.
That was one of the best ones. Where
you do that one, Rudy?
No.
I don't think they went outside for that because they didn't even have actors reading the whole script. Like you'll have actors that are in it for whatever length of time. And I read this on Variety. It was they only have it for a certain length of time, and then they don't know how it ends.
Yeah.
So you'll have like Chris Pratt, like he doesn't know how it ends.
Yeah.
And that's so. Like
it's
odd
strange
to me.
Well,
That's
yeah,
so
I mean, as you being an actor, how do you feel about that? Like, do you want to know the whole story? Like, does it make it more difficult to perform and do it?
You know what? Because I'm so invested in the whole Marvel thing for like the last 10
Marvel
years.
Cinematic Universe.
Yes, I want to know. I want to know how it ends. But as an actor, no, not necessarily. It wouldn't like stop me from doing a great performance, like knowing whether or not Thanos wins or not. Probably not, though.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. But no, I think I do the best I can with what I have. If I have piecemeal parts of a script, you know, obviously I would want the whole thing. I would want as much of a finished product as I possibly can, because the more stuff you have, you know, the kind of clearer picture you can have of the character you want to make. But, you know, if you give me piecemeal stuff, it might not be exactly what you wanted, but, you know, I will work with it. And I'll create a compelling and interesting character.
You mentioned like being in the cold, getting buried alive. What's the weirdest thing you've had to do so far acting, or like the strangest experience you've had so far on set?
On the set of Wolf, Rudi and I almost succumbed to hypothermia.
Oh, okay.
So what ended up happening was we were shooting this one scene that required us to snowmobile away from the cabin, which we were using as the base, all the way down to this path. And my character at the time didn't have a jacket.
As part of the story, he had lost his jacket.
Okay.
Right. So obviously I had the jacket to ride out there. So I took off my jacket, and Rudy's marvelous because no matter what he asks his actor to do, he will do himself. So he took off his jacket as well, so that he's not comfortable and warm asking me for another take if I'm freezing. He's gonna I want to feel exactly what you're feeling, which is amazing. So we left our jackets on the side of the road, and we filmed our shots, and it took, an hour and a half, something like that?
It took a while, because it took a long time to reset. 'Cause,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're dealing with snowmobiles, you're dealing with snow, and I was
And
getting
sunlight and
very,
everything, yeah.
very wide shots.
So this elderly couple came by and did the Good Samaritan thing and saw these 2 jackets that are just sitting by, so they took them. And kind of drove away, and we were thinking
they had thought it bounced off of a snowmobile.
Bounced off a snowmobile. So we needed to snowmobile back. Now it's dusk. We needed to snowmobile back.
Wait, where were you at?
Wyoming.
Okay.
Yeah, in the mountains in Wyoming.
At 9,000 feet in the dead of winter in Wyoming. Like, we're talking like chest deep snow right now.
So
Like,
we're snowmobiling back, and there comes a point where you're shivering, you're so cold that you stop. You stop shivering. And we got back to the base, which took the 20 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever it was, but it felt like an eternity. And we looked terrible. We got back into the base, and our producer Radhika, she knew what was going on, so she had soup ready for us. Like, do you want to take a shower? We pushed along, we pushed everybody aside, and just sat in front of the fire until we quite literally thawed, and we gave each other a look. You know that look at the end of Lord of the Rings where Sam looks at Frodo, just like, we've been through some shit.
Yeah.
So we're taking a look.
We've done something together.
And this is like
that
nice
no one
little
will
story we
understand.
can tell.
Yeah.
Rudy's mom's a nurse, and we kind of told her this story, and she goes, "Wait a minute, you stopped shivering?" "Yeah, when?" I goes, "Oh, it was about like 10 minutes before we hit the..."
She was like, yeah, you were hypothermic, right?
A couple more minutes, and
You
we
would have
would
been
have
in
to call
trouble.
a helicopter to come and get us out of there. I go, "Really? Oh my goodness!"
Well, all for the love of movie
all
making.
for the love of movies.
All
for the love
for
of movies.
one shot.
There was one.
Did that shot make the movie?
Thank God.
we actually have one shot in this movie where
No spoilers.
we had to no spoilers. We went out into the desert, and can I say this? Can I say this?
Yeah.
We dug a grave.
Oh.
We dug my grave,
Oh.
and we buried me alive.
And I'm already getting kind of
That was something.
claustrophobic.
That
Just
was
you
a trip.
describing that.
Well, because I sat down into it, and it's myself, Rudy, and our cinematographer Naeem, and I'm sitting down in the grave, and I'm thinking to myself, this isn't anything, but there's a weird thing that happens once the first little clump of dirt comes on you, and then you start to feel the heaviness of the earth, and you're looking. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I need to get out of this.
Right.
I need to get out. I really hope we get that footage. And to answer your next question, no, that didn't.
That
make the
did
cut.
not make it into the cut at all.
So I
That's
got
why I'm
buried
like,
alive.
yeah, go for it.
And afterwards, there was this weird sort of juju I felt, this weird sort of thing. But it was a fun story that we can tell forever. And then we went to the ocean, and we, it was also freezing. But again, Rudy was in the water with me, and we went down, and we kind of simulated this drowning, which was marvelous, which looks beautiful.
So from all these stories, this is all an elaborate way of just trying to kill Alex. He just won't die. I guess I try to freeze him, bury him,
He got
drown
9
him.
lives, is what you're saying.
There we go.
Very nice.
But that does speak volumes about the physicality of the role. It really does.
Yep.
And it does speak volumes about a lot of people will get into acting because they like playing the character, they like portraying it,
Right.
but sometimes, especially with particular roles like this, they won't understand exactly how physical these things are. And you'll say, like, yeah, we need to go into the ocean and it's cold. And everybody I'll ever talk to is like, yeah, we'll do that. No problem.
Right.
And then when they get in the water, they're like, oh my God, no.
Keep me out of here. Yeah.
It's just like saying, yeah, let's just get on a roller coaster. But then when it actually comes time to get on the, like, in the line,
It's funny because we talk about this every once in a while. Everybody wants to be an actor until they see what acting work is, between the auditions and the getting rejected and everything. And then when you get the piece, when you actually get the piece, you get the part, you have to do this crying scene where you're sobbing uncontrollably or portraying this crazy character and everything for 12 takes, and it's 3 a.m. and you're exhausted and you're doing all this. it's everybody wants to be the actor on the red carpet, getting interviewed.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
be
You want to
told
wear
they're
the nice
great,
fashion.
nice
and-
fashion,
yeah,
and get the
you know.
award and get the money and everything, but nobody wants to like do the actual thing. Like everybody wants to be a director until they have to wake up the first time at 4:00 in the morning and have the answers to all of your department's questions of what about this and what about this and what about this. Hey, we need to do this. By the way, and then the pitching stuff. It's there's a lot of myth and legend to acting and directing versus what it actually is.
It's a hell of a process, and it's a very exciting process, and it also, you know, you now, I mean, you get to see the work come to fruition. I mean, you get to go and see and watch it and hear how people respond to it. So, I mean, that's kind of, while it's very daunting still, that's kind of the exciting part, because you're like, hey, you know what? Now it's the world's. We're giving it to everyone to take a closer look at.
I mean,
Absolutely.
we're storytellers for a living. I mean, that's
What
just
we do,
that's incredible that we actually get to do that. I mean, there's literally no difference between what we do now and what they were doing thousands of years ago around a campfire.
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
we tell stories that excite people or invoke imagination or scare them or.
For sure.
That's what we get to do for a living.
It's crazy. I got to I did this Q&A with Ben Kingsley, which was amazing, and he talked about storytelling to be this uniquely human way we communicate. It's so tribal in that when we were, you know, back in Africa so many thousands of years ago, and there are creatures quite literally surrounding you. All you have is this fire, and you have your tribe all around you. You know, there would be a storyteller to get your mind off of the scary things in the dark. So you would stare at this fire while the storyteller tells you this thing and gets your mind off of it. And I just feel it's so uniquely human that I can tell you a story, and then you can empathize with me. You can relate with me, even though you've never been to where I've been or seen what I've seen. I can still make you feel what I felt. And I think that's so unique and wonderful, and something that I'd want to dedicate my life to, you know?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Pie in the sky. What's next? You got your next big project lined up? You got
Yes,
your
he
next big
does.
acting job lined up? What do you
Yes,
feel?
he does.
I mean,
he does.
I'm always juggling like 10 different ideas all at once.
You sound a lot like me. I've always got like 10 different things I'm working on.
Yes, he does.
I've always got a lot of things on the drawing board. If the stars were to align, there's a period piece that I want to do.
Oh, wow.
And
Downtown Abbey.
not quite that. A little bit more gritty. But
Gritty Downtown Abbey.
Much
gritty,
more talking.
gritty Downtown Abbey.
Way more stiff upper lip. Many more British people.
I always have kind of been attracted to more historical pieces, period pieces, things like that. And not necessarily true stories. I like historical fiction quite a lot. So I want to start moving in that direction. So I've got a number of ideas that are kind of in that vein that I want to start pursuing. But of course, you know, I always keep my slate full. And at the end of the day, if I feel inspired or attracted to a story, I'm going to run at it at 100 miles an hour. So whichever way the wind blows, I suppose.
That's right. Alex, you got a big acting job coming up?
I'm actually, we're doing post-production on another feature film that I did called American Dreams. It's going to be released sometime later this year. Hopefully, I think it's going to be doing a festival run next year. Not too sure. I'll have to double check with the director. But as of right now, I am... just doing the whole auditioning thing. Pilot season is over in Los Angeles, and now the episodic season begins, where all the guest stars and kind of not the leads of the show, but the ones to fill it in for the season, they're doing their casting. So it's always a kind of hustle to get your next part. But yeah, that's what I'm working on right now.
Speaking about American Dreams, the director of that film, his name is Thomas Shade. I've seen a couple of his shorts. This is his debut feature, and I'm a fan. Like, I'm a big fan of his work. So
he's unbelievable.
I'm excited to see his work, and I'm
Yeah.
excited that you are in his work too.
Thanks,
so
man.
it's really, really cool.
Love it.
Very exciting. So this is the Kansas City podcast. So I have to at least ask a couple Kansas City
course.
questions, because
I mean, if you insist.
you got here today.
Yes.
And here in Kansas City, there's a big thing going on right now, and it is in regards to our airport. How do you feel about the Kansas City airport? When you flew in today and you stepped into the Kansas City airport, what What'd you think about?
First impressions
you
of
were
it?
playing Looney Tunes on the TV, and I thought, brilliant.
You know what? That's right. They do play
Brilliant.
Looney Tunes there on TV. Okay.
That is true. He stepped off the airplane. He was
I
like,
go, "Oh
we're
my
playing Looney
God."
Tunes. That's a correct
I've
decision.
got a line of people behind me. Hold on a second. Daffy Duck's about to
was
get
there
his.
even any kids watching? Or was just some big guy sitting in a chair?
It was me.
Oh, you,
and
okay.
it
Okay.
He
was
was the
me
big guy
and,
sitting in the
and some old dude, but I think he might have been asleep.
Okay. Okay. So you stepped into the Kansas City airport. What'd you think?
I mean,
They're trying to get us a new airport. That's why.
Oh,
That's the
nice.
deal. Is because our airport's very old. It's falling apart. It's like multiple terminals. It's there's not one terminal. They've got bad issues.
See, it reminds me so much of Bob Hope Airport in
Burbank.
in Burbank,
Yeah.
which is in kind of the suburbs in LA, but it's actually the closest airport to me. So if I can fly out of there, I do.
Yep.
So to me, I'm just like, well, this is business as usual.
See, what they always say about the Kansas City airport, it's great if you live in Kansas City because you know how it works because you can just go walk right in and
The baggage claim was a little bit like
Weird,
there were signs pointing this way and the other way.
Yeah, yeah.
I was which
don't
way
know
do I
which one to
go
go to.
to get my bags?
Okay, so what about you? Did have barbecue today? How'd you feel about barbecue?
We're going back.
It was
Going back?
unbelievable. I had so much meat, and I'm so excited to have even more meat.
I feel like do you have your list of Kansas City barbecue joints you've been told to go visit?
No, I just want to make this like a giant swath of just
Okay.
meat places. I want to walk in the door and just be fed ribs. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
so then we got to get you to Char Bar. We got to get you
Char Bar.
Char Bar. We got to get you
Hold on
to,
a second. We got to write this down.
I'm
to
working on
Joe's
it, man.
KC or Oklahoma Joe's is what it's called. That is
Oklahoma Joe's?
the famous one. The Joe's KC. That's my personal favorite.
Okay.
Joe's KC is actually out of a gas station, and so you like go in.
Oh my god, my favorite place
It's
in
incredible.
Denver. It's a Chinese place and it's out of a gas station and it is like the best Chinese food on earth.
You will have to wait in a line, but it's my personal favorite. It's amazing.
Out of a gas station? Wait. Okay.
They
so
have other
describe
locations.
this to me. So,
they have
so
other
you,
locations that are not gas station, but that is the original. So it's like it's
Okay.
a fully functional gas station.
Okay.
But then the second half of the gas station is Joe's KC. It was
so
used
like
to
a
be called
full-out
Oklahoma Joe.
restaurant.
Not a full-out restaurant, but there's enough tables and stuff to sit down. You walk up and you order. It is the best French fries and the best burn-ins you will ever have in your entire life. So you need to go to Joe's KC.
Well, we're gonna see about that.
And then I know we were talking earlier. You're going to go see a couple. Maybe go to some museums.
Oh,
and
there's
things
a
like
number of
that.
museums. So we're planning on going to the Negro League Museum. I like baseball. I mean, I'm a red-blooded American. So
More of a hockey man myself.
yeah.
Are the Royals in town? You can go to a Royals game, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to remember.
Sorry, a Canadian hockey team.
Oh, I'm
sorry.
Yeah, hoity-toity over here with the sticks and the skates and the pucks.
We do have a minor league hockey team.
Oh, cool.
It's in Independence. They're called the Mavericks.
The Mavericks.
Yes.
I like it. They play by nobody's rules.
No,
even
they do
their
not.
own.
They are straight up Mavericks. I mean, they're horses. I think. I don't really. I've never been to one of their games, but yeah. Okay, so you go to museums.
Yeah,
you know?
we're gonna hit up a couple of museums. Like I was just saying, I'm really into like historical pieces. I want to start moving in that direction. So the World War I Museum is high on my
that's
list.
a big
Yeah.
one. That's a
and
big one.
I know it's really important for Alex
Yeah,
as well.
in Canada, like you guys study World War II down here, we study World War I up there.
Nice.
Because that's where Canada got their independence after World War I.
Then you will certainly enjoy it.
Oh, I love it.
I think you guys, Kansas City, it's a large city, but it's got that small town feel. So as you're
Yeah, it
hanging
does.
out, you will certainly have a lot of happy faces and exciting people. That it's a nice.
It's gorgeous.
Good
Definitely
hometown.
coming
yeah, I
back,
mean,
for sure.
I've only been here a couple of hours, and I just feel like I'm in my hometown, like back home. I really do. I feel right at home here.
Well, very good. So I am very excited that your guys' film, it's premiering, like I said, this Friday at 7:45 at the Cinemark on the Plaza. In this great place. That's what it's called. Where can people find more information about the film? Maybe they can't make the screening, but they want to see the trailer. We're going to have all that on our website as well, but this is your plug section, gentlemen. Plug it up. Let's hear what you got to say.
Facebook.com/inthisgrayplacemovie. That's where we will have all the information you could possibly need.
and gray with an A.
Yes,
not an
gray
E.
with an A.
Gray with an A, okay.
In this great place. That'll have all the information, everything. talking a little bit about me, a little bit about Rudi,
and the rest of the cast
and the
as
rest
well.
of the cast. All
Who
of
else
the
is in
trailers
it?
are on there.
We have a phenomenal cast. We have Angela Nording, who plays the role of Laura, who is his character's girlfriend. She is just a phenomenal actress. We have Marcus Johns. He's a really big social media influencer, so you guys might know the name Marcus Johns.
Instagram legend.
Instagram legend.
Speaking of legends,
we have Phil Lamar. Phil Lamar is probably one of the top voice actors working, frankly, in the world.
Yeah.
Phil has done iconic roles from Samurai Jack, Ollie Williams on Family Guy. He was Static Shock. He's the Green Lantern in Justice League. I mean, he did the voice of your childhood.
And
whoever you are, wherever you are, he did the voice of your childhood.
And he was Marvin in Pulp Fiction. He got shot in the face.
That's right.
John Travolta shot him in the face.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have Phil Lamar's incredible talent. And then we have Nick Moss. And Nick Moss is such an incredible guy, too. Nick is an Emmy Award-winning actor, as it were. And it's a little serendipitous how we met him because we were off shooting scenes for In This Great Place in a different place. And Nick was at a film shoot that was at my house, and he kind of snuck into the garage and saw the film set in the garage.
About Mavericks.
And was like, what's going on here? And then we ended up months later hiring him. So
That works out.
yeah, it really worked out. So that's our primary cast. We do have a couple of supporting roles. Ricardo Malona, who's an actor I've worked with before, and a good friend of mine named Dominic Syracuse. I've known him since the 4th grade, all the way back home in Wyoming.
And brilliant actor in his own right.
Yeah, so Dominic lends his voice to the film as well. So we have a pretty cool cast.
Very nice. Very nice. So people check it out on Facebook. Any other plugs? Anything else you want to go? Any words of wisdom you want to share with the podcast?
Words of wisdom.
Yeah, it's your time to shine.
Come and see the movie.
Yeah, no, definitely come and see the movie.
There's nothing wiser than that.
There's some wisdom for you. For any filmmakers, because you said that you've talked with a number of filmmakers, and just being a part of this festival, I've been able to reach out to a lot of local filmmakers here in Kansas City, and it's really, really awesome that it seems to have a very rich filmmaking community. Alex and I kind of touched a little bit about how we sometimes feel like we're limited with resources, but in some ways that's actually liberating because we don't have to worry about so many extraneous things. We can just focus on the film. I know some indie guys kind of will feel like they have a ball and chain that they're dragging around.
For sure.
And I say embrace it.
Yeah.
Love it. Look at what you have, look at what you can do, and run at it 100 miles an hour. Have fun. Put your heart and soul into it.
You know what? Words of wisdom. I'm totally going to steal it. But it's fortune favors the bold. It really does. Be fearless. Find what you want to do and do it. Don't listen to the naysayers, even though they have convincing arguments. Just go for it.
Perfect. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Such a pleasure.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you
the
so much.
premiere.
Yeah.
I hope it goes fantastic. I hope nothing breaks down. I'm saying all this now because if I say this, it won't happen.
We have backups no matter what.
You got
We're-
backups.
oh,
That's good.
If I
Always
need
prepared.
to act it out a cappella in front of them, I will do this.
I will put on a wig and I will play Angela's role.
Is it going to be like Rocky Horror, like you're standing at the front now, like acting it out as it's going on? That could be pretty sweet.
That could be pretty sweet. In fact, you want to say acting challenge, like there it is, right there. You know,
He's there and he's down there.
he's down there. How is he doing that?
He does it. He looks different. What's going on?
I'll throw my voice and everything. I'll paper mache my head so I can be in 2 places at once. It'll be phenomenal.
Fantastic. Folks, make sure you can check out our website, thekansacitypodcast.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Cole Lindberg, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Kansas City Pod. Gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for being on the show. Enjoy the premiere and enjoy the city.
Will do.
Go
We're
out,
gonna have a
some
blast.
fun. You got to go eat Joe's Barbecue.
All right,
to
I guess we gotta go to Joe's
Museum,
Barbecue again.
and
There we
you
go.
can have a good time. So thank you very much for being on the show.
Such a
All right,
pleasure.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
We'll see you next time here on the Kansas City Podcast.